Welcome to Mortgage on My Mind, where we take the mystery out of mortgages and make dreams of home ownership a reality. I'm Natalie Salins, a top 1% mortgage broker with 20 years of experience, based right here in sunny Los Angeles. If you've ever wondered about pre-approvals, appraisals, or what loan product is right for you, don't worry, I've got Mortgage on My Mind, so you don't have to. Each week, I'll bring you expert advice, real-life stories, and insider tips to help you navigate California's competitive real estate market with confidence. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or just curious about how it all works, this podcast is for you. So let's talk mortgages, demystify the process, and make your real estate goals a reality. Ready to get started? Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to Mortgage on My Mind. I'm Natalie Salins, your host, and today we have the lovely guest, Valerie Van de Zilver. She is a seasoned real estate professional and senior transition specialist based in Southern California. She has over 4 decades of experience and more than 21 million in closed transactions, and has become a trusted guide for clients navigating major life changes, especially seniors transitioning to new living situations. Valerie is also the host of Always Ageless Radio, which is so cool, where she shares insights on thriving at every stage of life and highlights resources for aging gracefully. As the founder of Powermarketing Inc., she combines her deep knowledge of real estate with a passion for education and community support. So welcome, Valerie. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's really a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exciting.
So my first question to you is, you have a radio show, and I guess you mentioned beforehand you have 2.
I do. I have one that shows, it airs on Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It's Always Ageless Radio on the AM station here in Southern California, ABC affiliate station. And we talk about things that have to do with anything to do with aging, with people who are the adult children of aging parents, whether you're aging or you're the child of someone who is, or a family member of someone who is. And we also feature amazing people who are older, who've done some really cool things in their older years. And we love to tell their stories and feature them on our show also. And then on Friday afternoons, we have a show called SoCal with Val, where we feature great things in Southern California, either a location or a restaurant or a landmark, or someone we recently featured Paul McCartney's mom.
Oh, so cool.
96 years old and has her own podcast every Tuesday, by the way.
Oh my
So we've had some
goodness.
really exciting guests on our show, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. So cool. So why did you start that? What made you want to do this, to host a radio show?
Good question. Really good question. I didn't want to. But I had been on guest on, I've had a friend actually from a gentleman I used to work for in the mortgage business. Now, and his name was Jay, and he had a show every Friday afternoon called The Educated Retirement. And Jay passed away. But when he had his own show, I was a guest, a regular guest. And everybody said, oh, the audience loves you as a guest. You know, how nice. And Jay passed away. And the one thing I should have done is called the radio station right away and said, can I have his spot? But I didn't. And eventually the station called me and said, everybody loved having you as a guest. And would you be interested in your own show? I said, gosh, what would I talk about? Real estate is what I do, right? It's what I've done since I was 20 years old. So I said, I don't know, there's another guy that has a real estate show, so I'll probably pass. And a couple months later, they called and said, we've got a spot available on Mondays. Would you like to have it? And I said, I will, because I had started to work with the senior population, older adults, or we don't like to call them seniors, older adults, or the families of older adults, all the transitions that they're going through. So I said, sure, I'll do that. I didn't have a name. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I said, but can I please wait 2 weeks to start? I had no idea how to do a radio show. And Jay did his live. He did them on Skype.
Wow.
And so I thought that's what everybody did. And then they told me, no, you don't have to do that. You can record it just like we are today. So eventually I started my own show. And then a few months later, they had another space open and asked me if I would do a SoCal show, what people would listen to on Friday afternoons and think about places that they can go and things they can do for the weekend. So that's why I have 2 shows.
Oh, wow. Is it specific to a certain area?
No,
Or
Southern California. And so, Natalie, we're taking Southern California as being Santa Barbara to the Mexican border. So
wow,
in that whole area,
that's very north. That goes north.
yeah, it does. So we're
Yeah,
featured some cool boutique hotels and some
nice.
historical things, and some really cool people, some people in the Empire and all kinds of things. So we've had a really good time and met some amazing people.
Amazing. So cool. So, since it's the name of your podcast, Always Ageless, what does Always Ageless mean to you personally, and what does it mean to you professionally?
Always Ageless is a term that is very personal to me because my mom's going to be 106 on Saturday.
Oh, stop it.
Still lives by herself. Amazing. Takes
No,
care of herself. She's amazing. And nothing wrong with her mind. If she didn't have a bad knee, there would be nothing wrong with her.
that
I
is insane.
I a lot of our parents don't live to be that long, but my mom does. I'm really fortunate that my mom does. So I'm have no reason to believe that I won't live to be along.
Knock on wood, I
Right,
say. I say that a lot.
exactly,
Knock on wood.
exactly. And in my career in with the brokers I've been with as a real estate agent, a lot of my colleagues have been people younger than me, and they always come up and say, "How old are you? How old are you?" And then I would say, "How old do you think I am?" Because I really didn't want them to know. And I honestly have felt for a long time that if people knew my age, they would think differently of me.
Sure.
And I didn't want that to be the case. So I was thinking, what can I do for my show? And by this time, I'm now working with seniors. I'm a senior home coach, senior transition specialist. And so I thought of the name of Always Ageless because that's what we all want to be. And we want to encourage our older adults to be always ageless, to don't let anyone pinhole them or put them in a certain box just because of their age. In fact, there's a book called Stage, Not Age. And we should talk to people based on the stage of their life. Someone could be my age and really ill and they're not going to live very long, but someone can be my
Yeah.
mom's age and still be alive. And so what we need to do is encourage our older adults to enjoy their life no matter what their age is. And we shouldn't pinhole them or put them in a category or a box just because of their age, because there's over 11,000 people a day who are turning over 65. And by 2030,
Wow.
there'll be more adults over 55, over 65 in our world than there are under 18. So it's definitely a large population. And so we need to be aware of the fact these people are going to be around for a while and they're going to enjoy life. They're going to live longer, and we want them to be always ageless.
And you incorporate that professionally as well, because
We
it's
do,
the
we
same
do. So
thing.
I have my
Yeah.
radio show and
Right.
I have branded that, and we do community workshops and other things that we do. And that will be writing a book and hope to be we all want to be always ageless. It's interesting because just a few weeks ago, I did a community workshop in Wichita, Kansas with a friend of mine, Catherine Ambrose. And at the end, she had people write a review of what they thought of the community workshop and what they liked. And many of them commented, I want to be always ageless.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's chat a little bit about like lessons in longevity, since you have it professionally and personally greatly. What would you say are like the mindsets that have helped you sustain success over 40 years of being in the same business? I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yep. And it's not always easy. And over that period of time, we've been through a lot of ups and downs, and interest rates when they're 18%, and doing trade-ins and then doing short sales and all of those things. So really
right.
the keys to success, I think, for me, are to being able to keep my mindset and my enthusiasm and my drive, is that I do a lot of networking with other people. I go to a lot of conferences.
Okay.
I've met so many people, as you probably know. You're doing this, so cute. Kudos to you for going out of the box and doing
We
something
try.
everybody else isn't doing. You do a great job. I go to workshops, I go to conferences. I make it my point to meet people, and my life would not even be close to what it is had I not done that over the years. I've gone to
Yeah.
mortgage conferences and real estate conferences, and through that, then eventually I've been asked to speak. I met so many people that otherwise wouldn't know. So that's one thing, is the things that the people I meet at conferences. And also I spend time with on podcasts and in groups, in mastermind groups, which then, even though they're local, I'll be asked to be on the panel. And so all those things that I've learned from others that have kept me alive. And I'm on a call every morning at 6 o'clock that we talk about. It's called the Senior Call. And it's people from all over the country who come together and talk about the things that we do to serve seniors and their families. And when you're in a call like that, when you're in a group like that, you can't help but be excited about the things that you learn from each other. No two people do business the same. You can both be in the same mortgage industry, and yet everybody's got their own little twist. And so that's another thing that really makes a big difference in my life. And the excitement and the fun of meeting other people.
That's awesome. And with the mindset, how do you stay motivated? Is it just through these actions? Because the market changes so much. So what would you say over 40 years is the most challenging market you've been in and dealt with?
I sold homes when they were 18%. And we had 80, 20, 10s where we had people did 10% seconds. And the market was pretty crazy, but yet we still sold them. So we kind of have a saying that somehow in every market, someone's still going to buy a home. We did a trade-in program where the builder I worked with said, I'd rather have their home than my home, because if the builder could get rid of their inventory, they could build more homes. So they would buy their buyer's home. So we did a trade-in program. I had no idea how to do a trade-in program, but we learned how to do that. So that certainly has been a challenge, and probably short sales only because of the time that it took to get them through the system.
And it was so short sales like in 2009, 2010.
Sure. And so sad to see people have to go through that. But then there were some advantages. Some people didn't have to make their payments for the whole time either. So that gave them a little bit of relief. But that was always sad. But certainly those are probably my two most challenging markets.
That's good. That's a good answer for sure. So then let's chat about the fact that you had a mortgage company. I didn't say that in the intro, but everybody, Valerie has had a mortgage company, and that's a huge undertaking. So when did you open it, close it?
Oh, gosh.
I'll ask more questions. Yeah.
But we just really legally closed it recently, but I've had my NMLS for a long time. And when I started my career, I was working for new home builders, and I sold new homes. And then I was a sales manager for some of California's largest home builders. And at some point in time, I decided I kind of wanted to make a change. And so I asked my mortgage lender to hire me. And I said, if you don't hire me, I'm going to go out and compete against you. So he hired me, and I started working in the mortgage industry, which I loved.
And when was that?
Oh, gosh, that would have been probably in the, 70, probably late 80s, early 90s. And so I started doing loans, which I absolutely love. For me, I love it because, as you well know, every transaction's a little different. And it's like putting puzzle pieces together, and it's learning what you need to do and how you need to help people make it through that. And buyers have a tendency, and borrowers, to get frustrated because they think the lender's asking them for a lot of information. So to manage people's expectations and help them understand that they're going to ask you for this information, but this is why, that always seemed to be help people a lot. So then I had my mortgage industry for my company for a long time. And I created a program called Smart Buyers Home Center, where we had people come into our office and we pre-qualified them for the loan. And at the same time, then we'd go out and sell them a house. And that was a fun project for a long time. And we had 24, and we created a lead generation program called 24-Hour Homes Hotline, where we had magazines in the grocery store, a 12-page magazine, where people would pick it up, they'd look through it, they'd call on our ads, and then we would bring them into our office and get them pre-qualified and help them buy a house.
Amazing. Amazing how innovative you were.
We had a lot of fun.
Without all of the availability of technology that we have now. So
absolutely.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started, this will really age me, but when I started my homes hotline, we really didn't we were still using the multiple listing book. And
Sure.
so then in my Smart Buyers Home Center, we had a counter where we bought computers and set them up so people could come in and look for homes on the computer. And then we would qualify them and take them out to see them.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's been a little while. Yeah. A little
Yeah,
while. Yeah.
amazing. So then what started you interested more in like the senior transitioning and stuff?
That's a good question. So my dad had always been sick, but got a little
Mm.
sicker as he got older. And my parents had been married for 78 years when my dad died when he was 99. And about the year before dad died, he was sick and he was in the hospital. And then the hospital called and said, "We're discharging your dad today." And I said, "What am I going to do with him? Because my mom can't take care of him anymore." And they said, "We don't know, but that's not our problem. We're discharging him." I said, "Okay, so what am I going to do?"
Wow.
So they said, "Go to this place, which is like a rehab place in Huntington Beach," was where he lived. And it's on this street, go there. So we went there and they said, okay, they would take him. So he was there and going through exercises and all the things that he did. And one day they called us and they said, "We're discharging your dad tomorrow." And I said, "What am I supposed to do with him?" They said, Medicare only pays 20 days. I said, "No problem. We'll just pay you direct." That's not how it works. You can't do that. You can't do that. He has to go. What am I going to do? No idea. So I
Right.
called a friend of mine in Huntington Beach. And I said, "What did you do when you went through this with your dad?" "Oh, we called Donalyn." Okay. So here's Donalyn's number. So I called Donalyn. "Donalyn, you help my friend Tammy. I need your help. I'm on maternity leave, but
Mm.
I have a friend named Dave. Call Dave. He has 5 houses." So I called Dave and went out and looked at 5 houses, which I would call group homes, but they're kind of board and care homes. So we went there, found one for dad. But through that process, and my dad only lived a month later, but through that process, I couldn't help but think to myself, I can't be the only person that's going through this. And there've got to be other, what I call us kids, right? Other kids like me who are going through this with their parents. And sure enough, then I found that some of my mom and dad's friends were going through the exact same thing. And their grown children my age were having the same challenges and they were calling me. "So what did you do with your dad?" I said, "I called Donalyn, but then I called Dave and we put him in Dave's homes." So it occurred to me that we needed to help these people. We need to help people my age, not only the older people, but we need to help people our age because we don't know what to do. And we're in it. What if my mom was in Michigan and I'm in California and I have to help my mom right away? So it occurred to me that we needed to have resources. And I started working with that senior niche, but there really wasn't a lot available, really, because we really hadn't started to think about it yet. So this has been now like 5 years ago. And then I happened to just run across a group on the internet and listen to a call every morning. There's a group called the Senior Call. And we are a group of people around the country. Most of us are realtors, but not all of us. And we share ideas of how we can help families. We have the designation of the senior home coach, and we help people with their transition, whatever it is, whether they need to age in place and make their home safer where they are, as long as they can
Right.
stay there, or whether they need to go to an assisted living or a board and care or some other kind of a community. Then we help the families decide what is the best thing for them to do.
That's awesome. And is this just something that you do because it doesn't really have anything to do with selling the home?
It does. It may not always right away because they might call and say, okay, like you might call and say, "Valerie, my mom isn't doing well. She broke her hip. She needs to do something." So I got there, okay, your mom doesn't want to move, or maybe you can't afford for her to move, or maybe she's better off staying at home and having someone come in and help take care of her. But at some point in time, your mom will sell her house, whether
Right.
it's now
Of
or it's
course.
next year or it's 3 years from
And
now.
so you stay in contact with
So
them
we
every
stay in
day.
contact and we help those people and we're a resource for them. And then also some of those relationships will give us business of people that they work with who have a home to sell. So it's building a big network of resources. We have 75 different companies who we work with. And then also I'm the co-chair in Orange County of the National Aging in Place Council. So we go out and do community workshops. Plus I do my own professional community workshops.
Wow.
every month. So we talk to people about all of these challenges that they have. And then someone might be ready to move, and we do downsizing seminars. Some of them may be ready, some of them aren't. But then something happens, right? The call comes when,
Yeah.
and so what we kind of say is everything's fine until the call comes. And in my case, the call came from the hospital. You have to move your dad. And then the call from the assisted living or the boarding care. So
Right.
our goal really is to help people be prepared so that they make decisions, just like in real estate. You want to make a decision out of knowledge, not out of crisis. Find out what you need to know so that when you have to make a decision, you're ready. And that's what our goal is.
Got it. So just real quick, getting back into the mortgage thing, just quickly.
Sure.
So you had this company. How many years did you have it, and why did you, just because it's so interesting to me. It's so much responsibility to run a mortgage company. I couldn't imagine being able to do what I do during the day with my clients and deal with a business around it, P&Ls and this and keeping the lights on kind of thing. So how long did you have it, and why did it?
Oh, I had it for well over 20 years, and I was
Oh, wow.
always a sole originator. At one point in time, I had one or two other people with me, but I had my own processor, and we were a
Sure.
broker. We were never a mortgage banker, but we had relationships that we had worked with. A lot of my business when I first started was with home builders.
Okay.
I was
Me
at a
too.
point, yeah,
When I
at one
started,
point,
it was
yeah,
that's
at
I used to
one
sit
time, yeah,
buildings.
yeah. At one point, I was doing like 300-400 loans a year. Because I
Wow.
had builders who had 30
Because you
different
had builders.
locations. Yeah.
And so you would structure the loan yourself? Would you also submit everything, or would your processor submit to the
I had a
broker?
processor who worked with me.
Okay, got it. And as a broker, just for the audience to understand the difference, like I'm an individual mortgage bank. So we underwrite in-house, we fund in-house most of our loans, almost all of our conventionals. But then we do broker out as well, because that's what we are. A mortgage bank, we get to do all things mortgage.
Yes,
As a broker, you need to give the file always out to a investor
to an underwriter. But
who has
at
to
that
fund it.
time, in those years, that's pretty much what people did. And even if there were banks, it wasn't the same as now. There weren't as many in-house lenders, so to speak, as like you are, right?
Right.
As there are now. So
Direct
it's
lenders. Yeah.
easier for you to do that. But it used to be that more people were brokers than they were in-house lenders. If they were in-house lenders, they were banks. And now there are more people like you who are you're not really brokers, but
Direct lenders.
you're
Yeah.
not, yeah, direct lender. You're not a bank and you're not a broker.
And did you find that the process was difficult in the brokering? Like for me, I know with brokering, I don't have a say over the underwriters. It's very difficult for me because I like to stay control of it and everything. But was that something that you found was hard being a broker or a mortgage lender?
You have to build relationships with your underwriting team and with who you broker too. Just
Right.
like with you guys, you've got to have you may be a direct lender, but you still have an underwriter that you want her to look at your file in the
Of
way that
course.
you want her to look at it.
And we text each other. Like,
Of course. So
yeah.
we have the same thing. And after you work with somebody long enough, you get to know them, you learn how they think. And likewise, then we'd anticipate, or we'd call them and say, just like you do, I have this situation. And sometimes you think you're right and they don't. But I always enjoyed learning what the reason was that the underwriter would look at something. So if they'd say this guy doesn't have any, this guy has he's writing off interest on his tax returns, but he says he doesn't have any loans. And then I always want to know, so what do you see that
Yeah,
I missed? Where did you see that?
of
So
course.
then the
Yeah.
next time I do that, or the next time I see it, then I could anticipate that. And I could also then call the borrower and say, you may say that, but this is what I'm seeing. And it's much easier to work with them then. So I don't think I minded it as much as you might think I did, but that's the way we did it.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so you find your team, if you find your one or two wholesale lenders that you work with, and 99 and 9/10% of your loans go through.
That's where you go. Yeah, so that you can
Exactly,
build the close
exactly,
relationship with them
exactly,
and even
exactly,
when understand
exactly,
what they're looking for. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. You don't go out and shop at lenders on every deal. You can't and do any volume that way. You have to have somebody who you work with and you have a good relationship with.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
also that then when you submit a loan to them, they know they can trust you. We had a saying that you want to be the kind of person that if it's 4:30 in the afternoon or 4:45 and the underwriter has time to underwrite one file before they go home and yours is on their desk, that they'll pull yours out of the stack
Right.
because they know your files are clean. They know that your loans are going to be structured well. We wrote cover letters. Our files were all organized. So we
Totally.
wanted to be the ones that if the underwriter had 15 minutes, they would take our loan.
Yeah, I love that. It's so incredibly different now, even from when I started. So I started about 20 years ago at Countrywide.
Oh,
And at
yes.
that
Yeah,
time,
good Countrywide. Yes.
yeah, oh boy. Yeah. And at that time, what I had to do to prep a file was so much more in depth than what it is now. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, all files were paper files.
Yes.
And we had such a specific way that the file had to look for the underwriter. So
Oh, yes,
it was
absolutely.
as a true paper file. Everything was printed out and in the
Yep.
file. So all tax returns, bank statements, the entire file, hundreds and hundreds of pages.
And we made copies of them.
And then no, we had to make a copy because I had to have one on my desk. So when the underwriter reviewed hers on her desk, we could look together at what we were looking at. So
Yes.
we had to make two of the exact same file and 15 different documents on one side, which were like escrow, title, EM, like all, and lined up exact prelims and blah blah
Yep.
blah and blah blah blah. And then on the other side was the income side of the client and everything in certain orders so that we knew. And then we would tab each thing. W-2s, pay stubs, the amount of time it took just to prep a file. And then every day, FedEx would come 3 times a day to our office
Yes.
because they would pick the files up to ship them overnight to the underwriter.
Yep.
None of that happens nowadays.
Yeah.
So, number one, it's not nearly as organized, but it is so fast. Everything
Yes.
comes through an online portal. I'm reviewing everything on a computer screen now, where I loved having to touch my tax returns. I loved crossing things out and doing the calculations on them, and that was my thing. But it's so entirely different now.
It is.
And it's like you exchange the good and the bad.
Yes.
It's easier now, but harder now because you're not nearly spending the time on a file as you did back then.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah.
true.
What an incredible legacy of employment you've had. It's pretty incredible. Would you say what drives you to keep going at this point? You've been doing it for so long and you've done so many different things. What would you think is the real drive to keep going as you are doing 2 radio shows and so on and forth? Yeah.
What drives me is my people, my customers. I heard a saying a long time ago, and it was "Don't die with the music still inside." And I was talking this morning to someone. I said, I don't want to say the word "don't die," but I don't want to end with music still inside. And I want to give all I have to whatever opportunity there is for me to give. I feel that I've been really blessed with talent and with opportunities. People trust me. I have a lot of returning clients, as you do with your career. And I owe it to my colleagues and to my clients and to the world that I don't know yet to give everything I have because I've been very blessed. I was a poor girl. I had nothing. We had nothing. And we always had food. I don't know how my mom did it, but we always had food. And I just feel that's my obligation to the world is just to never stop. And my clients are my motivation, my families, people who come to me and they don't know what to do. And in the real estate world, I had a family that I worked with recently who's here by my office. And this lady's dad, she inherited this house from her dad. He had given her a BMW, like a 1965 BMW or something. It was in the back. You couldn't even find it. It was so overgrown that I never saw the car. And when we sold it to the buyer, we said, there's a car back there. We have no idea what it looks like, but you have to take it out. And she said she'd lived in this house for years and needed to move, couldn't stay there for economic reasons, needed to move. We were able to put her in a house in Hemet on a reverse purchase. But when I went into her house, she just was scared to death. And I took her by the hand and said, I'm going to take care of you. I'm not going to let anybody come in here and take advantage of you. We're not going to have tons of people walking through this house. We're going to have one open house. We're going to review the offers. And in fact, they even had me go to Hemet and find them a house. And they wanted me to close the escrow. I said, no, you got to go look at it. So my husband and I drove them out there to see the house that we thought would be good for them. And somebody else, as you all know, somebody else would have taken advantage of them and could have done something that really wasn't good for them. And so my goal is always to do the very best I can. I see myself as a protector. I want to protect people so that nobody takes advantage of them. And those are the things that I need to do. And I had a family recently where their daughter lived out of state. She didn't know what to do with her dad. He got sick. I helped her find a house for him. And then we liquidated the house. She literally said, I don't want anything. I've taken everything I want. Here's the house. Here's the keys. You get rid of everything.
Wow.
A house full of stuff. I had one a couple of weeks ago. It was a hoarder house. And the lady needed to move. Similar situation. We got rid of everything. We helped her find another house. We helped her get a car that she could go to, helped her find a realtor there. And a lot of people just don't go to that level of effort.
Sure.
And so that's my mission, my passion, my mission is to take care of people because so many people don't really know how to be a specialist in this market niche. And so that's really my passion.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Valerie, for being on. What an inspiring career journey you have had, and your mission to help others, and it keeps driving you it's pretty beautiful. And
thank you. Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Oh,
Really honored. Such an incredible.
If I can ever do anything for any of your clients or their families, please keep me in mind.
Thank you. I will.
All right.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody, for joining us. See you next time. Thanks for listening to Mortgage on My Mind. If you're ready to start your mortgage journey or have any questions, I'd love to help. With 20 years of experience, I make the process as simple and stress-free as possible. Check the show notes for my contact info, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. Until next time, I'm Natalie Salins, here to help make your real estate dreams a reality.